So God says, if I'm going to use you, I got to get you right now in a mindset where you are thinking of yourself less. I got to get you in a mindset that this thing is not about me, this thing is through me, that God wants to use me to bless somebody else. And if he can use me while I don't have anything, to start thinking about making me a blessing, if God can just start using me while I don't even have much, to start figuring out how can I bless somebody else. God says, I put you in that place where you couldn't save money, where you couldn't gather anything, I put you there to humble you, to prove you, to see if I could trust you, to be grateful over the little stuff that you got, so that when I really bring you into a place where I am blessing you with watermelon and tomatoes and green beans and cucumbers and onions and garlic, when I really bring you and bring some variety in you, they start complaining, I'm tired of the same old bland stuff day after day after day. That's only for a season. Your struggling and living hand to mouth is not a lifetime sentence on you. If you walk with God, God will bring you into a place. He brings you from survival mode to success mode to significance mode. You become significant not by what you do for yourself. You become significant by what you do for others. And you're born in survival mode, and you are in survival mode in the wilderness, and he's trying to prove you to see, can you be grateful when you just have enough to make it, when you're still struggling, where you don't have enough to be able to even sow any place, but can you still be grateful with what I've got while I am sustaining you? Can you go through school and you're working in school, trying to work your way through school, and you don't have extra money, and you're praying to be able to have enough to be able to pay the tuition for the next semester, and still try to eat right now? You can't be going through school struggling trying to pay your tuition and going to Ruth Chris. No, you're going to have to get familiar with some cereal and ramen noodles. I mean, you can't eat a whole lot of other stuff. You'll have some peanut butter and some crackers. You're splurging if you get some cheese. And you got to be in a position where you can still say, Lord, I thank you. I thank you that you've got me in this place, that where I am right now is not where I'm staying. I'm on my way somewhere. You're doing something in my life. I may not like it right now. I can't eat like I want to. I would love a little gravy and some potatoes with this, but I'd love a little sliver of bacon with this. Just one little piece of bacon. If I could get a ham hock, Lord, with some of this. And if we knew that we could have that, but some of you are in that place, you're in that place, and then years later, God finally explains the reason. God finally explains the reason as to why they were going through this. Here they are. Number one, he was helping them learn humility. He was helping them learn humility. Notice in verse 2, he said, remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years to humble. They were learning humility. They were learning humility. He was helping them to learn humility. You'd be surprised. You'd think that poor people automatically are humble, but they're not. I have seen some folks that don't have a pot to do you know what in, nor a window to throw it out of, and they're just arrogant divas. They act like they don't have a need in the world and can't let anybody know it. You'd be surprised, but he was helping them to learn humility. Here's number two. He was teaching them dependence on him. He was teaching them dependence. Notice verse 3. He said, he humbled you, causing you to hunger, and then feeding you with manna, which neither you nor your ancestors had known, to teach you that man does not live by bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of God. Every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. He says, I gave you manna. The word manna means, what is it? It means that they didn't even know how they were being sustained, by what means. Can you look back in your life and realize, God, how in the world that you helped me to make it with 2 children on my salary? How did you help me, God? What is it? What is it that little job that I had? How is it that I was able to make, anybody know what I'm talking about in this place today? How is it, what is it, God? What is it, God, that you helped me to be able to do this with my little income? You helped me to finish school. How did you help me to be able to take care of this and that? And how did you do it, God? What is it? What is it? What is it? He's teaching us dependence on him. He's teaching us dependence on him. He says, just trust me. Just trust me. Just trust me. Lean not to your own understanding. trying to figure out what you can do in order to make ends meet. Don't lean to your understanding. Don't you try to figure it all out. Let it go and start trusting him. Trust him. He says, lean not to your own understanding, but in all of your ways acknowledge him. Acknowledge it was God. It was God. God was the one that helped me. God was the one. You'd be surprised in the wintertime. Here you are cold, and God will lay it on somebody's house a heart to come there and bring you an extra coat that they had in their closet, and they were cleaning it out at the very time that you needed it. And here they were bringing you clothes. Anybody ever had somebody to give you one of them Holy Ghost handshakes and had a $20 bill in it, and you were really down to nothing, and you just wondered, God, how in the world did you know to bless me right now? You spoke to somebody. That's manna, baby. What is it? You don't even understand how they knew what you needed in your life at that time. But here comes divine manna that God is sustaining your life supernaturally from stuff saying, what is it? How did I make it, God, during this time in my life where I was having a hard time, and you made a way out of no way for me? What is this? How could I do this? How did I make it and I didn't have to lose this? How did I do it? That's what you call manna when you can't even define it. You don't even know how you made it. You don't even know how you got educated. You don't even know how you got that job. What is it? That's manna, baby. That is manna. That's manna. That's manna. That's manna. It wasn't because you had all of the qualifications and you were adequate in everything. Some of you married above what you should have been able to attract in your life. You better thank God for manna. What is it? What is it? You don't even understand why they hired you, because you didn't have all of the qualification. God had manna on you. What is it? What is it about me that made you choose me? There were some other folks that were more qualified than me, but Lord, you blessed me with this opportunity. That is manna. It may not be everything, but it's something right now to sustain you in your wilderness season of your life. God's got a plan. God's got a plan. God's got a plan. He was helping them. He was helping them to learn humility, and he was teaching them dependence upon him. Number three, he was teaching them that life is not all about food. It's not all about food. When he said that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Lord, he was saying to us that physical nourishment is not sufficient for a healthy life, that man also has spiritual needs. He was saying you can't just do this by bread alone. This is your physical nourishment. If somebody just fed you, life is more than bread. Life is more than meat. Life is more than going to nice restaurants. Life is more than what you put in your body. God let them suffer hunger to let them know that this is not just about life. I mean, I would rather be able to eat beans and rice, in contentment with love and peace in my heart, than to have a steak and sitting there hating the person's guts that's looking across the table from me, hating them over what they've done and how they've treated me, hating them, even though we've got steak and all kinds of sophisticated desserts and specialty breads, and then to have it served in the company of somebody that you don't like. He was teaching them that life is not all about food. It's about having nurturing relationships. It's about being able to follow God when you really cannot trace him, to say, God, I need you in my life. I need you when I'm going through. I need you. I need you, God. I need you. I'm depending on you, God. This is not just about what's on the table. This is about the strength that you put on the inside of me. It's about the vision. It's about the destiny that you still marked out in spite of what I'm dealing with right now. It's about the plans that you know that you have established for me. You've got your hands on me, Jesus. You've got your hands on me. And number four, he was training them like a father trains his child. He was training them. You see, he said in verse 5, know them in your heart, that as a man disciplines his son, so the Lord your God disciplines you. You see, he was teaching them discipline. He says, discipline is about doing the same old thing every day. It looks like it's boring, but you keep doing it. He said, I'm going to serve you this manna. This is discipline. I am training you how to make do with what you got. Every day, it's the same kind of exercise. Every day, this is discipline. I know that you don't get the luxuries of what you want, but this is the discipline that you're just going to have some protein right now. You have a protein shake, and that's going to be your breakfast. And I might give you a little something different for lunch, but That's the discipline that he's bringing us. This is not about where you are, it's about where you're going. He's trying to prepare us. And see, this is point number 5, the reason that God does. He was preparing them to be able to handle the blessings of a good land. Everything that God did for 40 years was to prepare them for the promised land where he was taking them. He says, I'm going to bless your life in ways beyond your wildest imagination. You're eating the same thing every day now, manna. And after they complained and griped, he did start sending them quail. And he was upset with the fact that they couldn't be satisfied with the manna alone. And he says, oh, so you want meat? He said, I'm going to send you more meat than you know what to do with. It'll be running out of your eyes, your ears, and your nose. You're going to start loathing meat. I will send you so much meat you won't know what to do with. And he did. He did. But maybe God was just, while he kept them on such a limited diet of just meat and bread, meat and bread, meat and bread, while he kept them on that limited diet, maybe God was trying to teach them the principle that we have the luxury of knowing in the New Testament of Luke chapter 16 and verse 10. In the New Living Translation reads this way, that if you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in large ones. But if you are dishonest in little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. He's saying, listen, if you can't be faithful with a little manna that I give you every day and the little quail that I send you, if you can't be faithful with that, you're not going to be faithful when I bring you into the promised land. He says, I want to teach you faithfulness where you are. And really, let me translate this into the modern day برونر translation. I would say that if you cannot be grateful and faithful with the little that you have, you won't be faithful and grateful with the abundance. He was saying, you got to be able to thank me for sending the manna, which didn't seem like much, and you didn't fully understand it, but it was enough to sustain you. He took care of the slaves. He took care of folks that were born into deep poverty. And he sustained them. He sustained them. He sustained them in a way that boggles our minds today. And we wonder, how did they make it under those adverse conditions without heating and air conditioning? How did they make it without a Posturepedic mattress? How did they make it without china and fine flatware on the table? How did they make it where you had bed bugs in the bed and your mattress was sticking you and your pillows had you allergic? How did you make it in those times? But it's amazing what God can do with stuff that other folks don't even understand. Absolutely amazing. But he said, I've been doing this for all of these 40 years to get you prepared for where I'm trying to take you. And he wanted them to see that he was revealing to them their own character. God knew their character, but God wanted to show their character to them. You see, these folks griped and complained over the little that they had with the manna and the quail. And do you know what? When he brought them into the promised land, they were still ungrateful. And he blessed them more than they could ever imagine, and they still found things for which to be ungrateful. It's a principle, people, that if you learn to appreciate the little things that God does for you, it didn't just say to thank God and acknowledge God in the big things that he does in your life, in the big doors that he opened. It says in all of your ways, acknowledge him. That, Lord, I know this wasn't the kind of job that I wanted right here at the moment, making the kind of money that I was used to making. But Lord, I thank you for this door. Thank you so much. I acknowledge, God, that you sent this as a blessing to me today. This is not the blessing that ultimate one that you're going to bring into my life, but I thank you for the manna right now that is feeding me at this place in my life where I am. Who am I talking to in this place? But God knew their character. He knew that character, and God was showing it to them. And I want you to notice what he says in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 7 through 9. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land. What kind of land? A good land. A land with brooks and streams and deep springs gushing out into the valleys and hills. A land with wheat and barley. You're talking about eating the same old thing every day? Now God says, I'm going to give you more variety in your diet now. You're getting ready to have wheat and barley. vines and fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil and honey, a land where bread will not be scarce and you will lack nothing, lack nothing, lack nothing. Well, God is bringing you into a place where you will lack nothing, a land where the rocks are iron and you can dig copper out of the hills, a land where there are rubies and diamonds and platinum. I mean, he's got emeralds and jasmine. God has more stuff in that land and more variety in that land than you can ever imagine. He says, I'm going to make things grow in that land that is flowing with milk and honey. It's a rich and a fertile land. And I'm getting ready to bring you all of the variety because I've proved you now. And if you can love me when you have to eat the same thing every day, I'm trying to give you now a thing where you can go a whole month and not have to repeat a meal. I'm getting ready to bless you now where you won't have to even change clothes. You can go 3 months without having to wear the same outfit anymore. And you won't have to dress it up here. You don't have but 2 outfits, and now you got to wear a blue scarf with it here and a gray scarf with it the next day, and switch it up and pants this way and wear the skirt with this jacket the next day to make it look like you got more clothes than what you really have. But God says, I'm getting ready to bring you into a place now where there be silk. A land flowing with milk and honey is a land flowing with silk and money. It is a place where God will meet every need that is in your life. You're not going to live the way you've been living if you trust God, if you walk with Him day by day. God's got a plan. I have a strange suspicion that God is up to something. He's got something up His sleeve. You don't think that God is going to keep you in school and not let you get your degree, do you? You don't think that God will let you go through what you're going through and not let you get the certification? If I've been through the fire, if I have been through the flood, I wanted to know I am flood certified. I am fire proved. That I have had this in my life. The Lord is with me. I want you to be able to look at me and know that cancer came, but I came back. That disease hit my body, but I'm still here. You are testimony of the Most High God. He is faithful. He is faithful. He is faithful. Yes, He is faithful. Yes, the Lord is faithful. Yes, He will make a way out of no way. Yes, there is a blessing of sometimes just saying, Lord, take me back to the place where I first believed you. I mean, where you had to depend on Him, where you had to trust Him, where you had to believe Him, and God came through for you. And He helped you to be able to raise your child. God helped you when you were confused and mixed up, and when you were throwing your hands up and wondering, God, what in the world am I going to do with them? What am I going to do with the husband? What am I going to do with this wife? What am I going to do, Lord, with my mother, my father? What am I going to do? But God is faithful. God is faithful. He's faithful. God is faithful. He's faithful, faithful. If you trust Him, if you will acknowledge Him in all of your ways, that if it had not been for the Lord on my side, God, where would I be? Where would I be? Where would I be? When you learn to count your many blessings and name them one by one, count your many blessings and see what the Lord has done. Where would I be? Where would I be? Where would I be? Take your seat. Let's go just a little deeper. Just go a little deeper. Because God took the time to warn them. He warned them not to forget and to assume that their own efforts had gotten them where they were. God had the foresight of knowing how we as human beings can get. You'll be surprised that folks will reach a certain status in life and they'll act like they have never been where they came from. And God says, He's warning His people, don't you forget. Don't you forget when I bless you, don't forget where you came from. When I bless you, don't forget what you had to suffer through. Don't forget you hadn't always had it like this. God says, I don't want you to forget this. I don't want you to forget. I want you to hear carefully what he's warning them. Deuteronomy chapter 8, the same chapter, verse 11. Notice, be careful that you do not forget the Lord your God, failing to observe his commands, his laws, and his decrees that I am giving you this day. Otherwise, he says, when you eat and are satisfied, and you build fine homes and settle down, and when your herds and flocks grow large, and your silver and gold increase, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart will become proud, and you will forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. He led you through the vast and dreadful wilderness, that thirsty and waterless land, with its venomous snakes and scorpions. He brought you water out of hard rock. He gave you manna to eat in the wilderness, something your ancestors had never known, to humble and test you so that in the end it might go well with you. And you may say to yourself, my power and strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms his covenant which he swore to your ancestors as it is today. He says, don't you ever forget it. Don't ever think that your hands have gotten you this wealth, but it is the Lord who gives you the ability to produce wealth. It is the Lord who gives you the ability to produce wealth. It's the Lord that gives you the multi-million-dollar idea. It's the Lord that gives you the dream for the business. It's the Lord that gives you the idea for the show. It's the Lord that gives you the idea for the movie. It's the Lord that gives you the idea for the app. It's the Lord that will give you the idea that can change where you are and how you are. But God didn't want them to forget that what He had taught them during times of scarcity. And see, here's the deal. We often have a greater need to be reminded than we do to be informed. We have a greater need to be reminded. Remember where I brought you from. Remember where I brought you from. Remember what I did in your life. Remember how I sustained you when you weren't able to sustain yourself. And you know what this all teaches us at the end of the day? At the end of the day, if you forget everything else that I've said, this is what God was saying in a nutshell, is that the good times in our lives are often more dangerous than the bad times. The good times are often more dangerous than the bad times, because if people have a tendency to walk away from God, they walk away when things are well. They forget the Lord in the good times. They remember Him when they're suffering and when they're going through the valley, when they're in the dark place, when they're struggling, and when they've got to trust Him and cry out to Him and pray to Him. He says, listen, when I bless you, and you don't have to believe me anymore for food for the next day, when you get to the point that you don't have to believe me for the rent, for the mortgage, and for the car note, He says, don't you forget me, that it was me who gave you the ability. It was me. And sometimes God gives us the bad to make us strong enough for the good, so that you won't forget, because God is creating in us a humility to where we have a dependency upon Him. And God is reminding us that there are things in life that are worth much more than food, and He's specifically talking about His commands, His words to us are more than just the food. And we're supposed to humbly depend on God no matter what situation we find ourselves. In the good times, depend on Him. In the bad times, depend on Him. See, we know we depend on Him in the bad times. But then when times get good, we don't pray as hard. It's so much easier to stop praying when you're no longer in pain. It's so much easier to no longer pray where you don't have to wonder whether you can cover the rent because you got money in the bank. And He says, that's the time. It's before you get the education. Before you get the education where you're trusting me. And He says, I wanted you to be in a position where you trusted me. And some of your lives, I saw it this way so clearly in the realm of the Spirit, that for so many of us, it was as though God was trying to refresh us from all of the pain of life by bringing us like a glass of lemonade or a glass of sweet tea. We're in the South, and so we like sweet tea. And it was as though God was bringing us sweet tea. But when you make sweet tea, you have the tea brewed, and there's a little lemon that is there that is terribly bitter. The lemonade is terribly bitter. You know, if you do it like we do it in the South, we don't just put a little sugar in it. Sugar makes everything better. And if sugar doesn't make it better, butter will. But we've got the glass of lemonade, and sugar is already in it. But you know what? You ever gotten unsweetened tea and you put the sugar in it and it goes straight to the bottom? You got all of the ingredients for sweet tea. You got the water, you got the brewed tea, you got the lemon. But you don't taste the sweetness in the tea until there's a stirring. There has to be an agitation. And maybe what you're going through in the 40 years of the wilderness, you've been drinking bitter lemon water and wondering why God has not added any sweetness. And you wonder, God, why am I going through what I'm going through right now? And I'm just here to remind you that He's just shaking you to agitate the sugar. It's in you, it's at the bottom, and it's got to come up so that it mixes into every particle of what God is doing in your life. And there's a shaking that is going on. And so He lets things start being shaken in your family, shaken on your job, shaken in your neighborhood, shaken with your medical report, shaken, because there's a sweetness that God is trying to get to in the lemonade and the sweet tea. And the sugar is in you, and all that you've needed is the shaking. And you wonder why things won't settle down. But God's trying to make you sweet. He's trying to make you sweet. But there's a shaking. The sugar is in you, baby. The sugar is in you. The sugar is in you. The sugar is in you. Tell somebody next to you, the sugar is in you. The sweetness is in you. It is in you. You don't get it mixed into all of the parts until you get agitated. You've got to have a shaking and a stirring and a shifting and a moving, and God's got some ice on the inside of you, and He's got you in a shaker, and you're wondering, God, when is my life gonna settle down? When, God, my thoughts, I can't sleep at night. I don't know what you're doing. Why, God? I'm so thirsty. God, when is the bitterness gonna stop? Jesus, help me. Jesus, help me. Jesus, help me. And there you are, not realizing God is stirring your ingredients. Sweetness.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Join us again next time for Power for Living, where revelation is power. Power for living.